Hello, hello, hello. This is Coach Vic, and we're back with Finding Your 40. I'm Coach Vic, and we are intensifying our look into the decision process, addressing those processes in order to come up with a format that will streamline our decision-making process, bring uniformity into our processes, and ultimately bring consistency to our decisions. We will start today with the 4-point or 4-question process Bob Proctor shares in the Success Puzzle workbook. The 4 questions Bob Proctor uses, we've adopted into the Finding Your 40 program. And the questions are as follows. Do I want to be, do, or have this? Will being, doing, or having this move me to the direction of my goal? Is being, doing, or having this in harmony with God's law or the laws of the universe? And then finally, will being, doing, or having this violate the rights of others? If the answer to the first 3 questions is yes, and the answer to the last question is no, make the decision, get moving, and get moving. Given this information on decisions, practical application, rather than merely enjoying the psychological aspect of this piece of the puzzle. It is in your movements, and it's in your moments of decisions that your destiny is shaped. This is what Tony Robbins says about decisions. It is your decisions, not your conditions, that determine your destiny. That is author unknown. There is a corollary that must go hand in hand with the decision, and that is commitment. It must be a committed decision. Most of us have weak decision-making muscles. Train your brain. Train it to make good decisions. Train it to be strong. Train it to have better understanding, and train it to have better perception, so that we make positive decisions and we're able to continue to grow through our decision-making process. We don't even recognize what it means to make a real decision. We fail to realize the force or change a truly congruent, committed decision makes. Part of our problem is that we use the term decision so loosely. You say, what do you mean by that? That it has come to describe our wishes and not our commitments. And instead of making decisions, we state our preferences. The word decisions comes from the Latin root de, which means from, and caedre, which means to cut. Therefore, a decision means to cut away from any other possibility. A true decision means you are committed to achieving a result and cutting yourself off from all other possibilities. So an example of that would be when you ask your for those of you who are married, your significant, or you are talking to your significant other, when you ask your significant other to marry you, and he or she says yes, then the commitment is between the two of you. And so you've cut away every other person, every other option, every other opportunity to be with anybody else other than the two of you. And so we have to understand as we're going through this process that we are cutting away every other option. There is no other option except for the decision that we have made. A true decision means you are committed to achieving the result and cutting yourself away from all other possibility. Committed decisions show up in two places on our calendar and our bank statement. No matter what we say, we value or even think our priorities are, we only have to look at last year's calendar and last year's bank statements to see the decisions we have made about what we truly value. For example, I'm committed to growth, both professionally and personally. Tell me what you value and I might believe you, the management guru Peter Drucker once said, but show me your calendar and your bank statement and I will show you what you really value. A review of my bank statements and calendars will reveal seminars and training courses and professional development workshops. The bottom line, see how we have reserved our time. Look at our expenditures, and those are the roadmaps to the decisions we have made. In the past, after making it a true decision, especially the tough ones, We usually feel as if a tremendous burden has been lifted off of our shoulders. Go as far as we can see. When we get there, we will see how to go farther. I know you're probably wondering, but Coach Vic, why do I need this to be successful? In the 4th chapter of The Invisible Power Within Us, it states it this way: as you grow in understanding as to who you are, where you came from, and what the purpose for which your being is, how you are to fulfill the purpose for which you are intended, you will more and more afford a center through which the creative spirit of life can enjoy itself, and you will realize that there can only be one creative process filling all space, which is the same in its potentiality, whether universal or invisible, had its origin in a localized action of thought or a mental picture. And so I want you to understand that when our thought processes, as we're going through these processes, and learning decisions, whether it's good or bad, whether you feel that, good or bad, or you think good or bad, you only have room for one of those thought processes to begin to manifest. And so as you're going through the process, you're going through your thought processes, as you're going through your creative processes, whatever pattern you're following, whether it's a good pattern or a not so good pattern, is the consistency. It's going to be the consistency of your manifestations and of your success. Good success means that you followed the trail of a good thought pattern. Not so good success means you follow the trail of a not so good thought pattern, but you can only, your processing only has room for one creative action or one creative activity, or one pattern of activity, and that's good and not so good. I'm not going to say bad, but good and not so good. And so as you're going through this process, you must understand. This is the reason why we talk about self-talk and understanding how you begin to speak to yourself, your internal voice. And the things that you allow yourself to take in without restriction. And without debate, when people are saying things about you or saying things to you that you don't agree with, and you don't automatically or immediately reject it, and you begin to take it in and internalize it, those words are no longer their words. Because you've internalized it, those words become your words, and you begin to speak those words back out in your quiet time. And so we have to be really, really careful how we let the words of others, or how we let our self-talk become negative versus positive. And as we go through the process. And so it's very important for you to understand that there's only one creative process taking place over this course of time. And whatever track you put it on, whether it's the good track or the bad track, are the results that you're going to see from this. And this includes yourself because you are a universal spirit, localized, and the same creative actions taking place in you. In Genesis 1:1, it says, and God said, let there be light. Every created thing starts with a word picture. God, even God himself used a word picture. He said, let there be light. And then it says, and the next person says, and there was light, and God saw the light and that it was good. God had a picture of what the light should look like in his mind when he spoke it. And then when he spoke it, he created it, and it became, and then he saw that what he created and what he had in his mind for it matched up, and he said, and this is good. And this is how we have to look at our situation and our circumstance and our decisions, because everything that we do has a word picture. Everything it starts with a word picture. So as you begin to see it for what it is, you'll see it in your mind first through visioneering, through visualizing, and then you'll begin to move in it. You'll begin to speak to it, and then it will come into being. And another text in the Bible that we can talk about. We can talk about with Abraham, and it says and God called him the father of many nations, and then it says that Abraham had faith in God because he called those things that be not as though they already are. God sees something, and then he begins to speak it, and then as he begins to speak it, it becomes. And this is the same thing for us as we're doing. We see something in our mind, we begin to speak it, we begin to speak it with regularity, and it becomes. And this people call this manifestation. Some people call it visioneering. Some people call it visualizing. Some people call it actualizing. You can call it whatever you want to call it, but ultimately your words have power to create around you. And so what's going on in your mind becomes what's going on in your environment, because your words begin to create in your environment, or begin to animate you in your environment what is taking place in your mind. This is the same power our spoken word has to create has to create our word picture, thoughts, feelings, actions, results. The results should be as we expected, whether it returns as good or not so good. Our thoughts are put into action by our words and our emotions or feelings. We must retrain, retain, and refrain. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light, and it was good. And I want to talk about this for a minute, because I have a really bad habit sometimes. When I'm in my apartment, looking around for something. Everything is off. I use the natural light from the balcony, and I walk around the place looking for something. I might try to look at my wallet. My wallet is black, and my countertops are black, and then everything in the bedroom is dark brown, and so the light naturally soaks into the furniture and into the countertopping, and so it's not as bright as it should be, or as I think it is, when I'm walking there looking for light, looking for my wallet, or looking for the case to my headphones, or it could be anything I'm looking for, and oftentimes in the dark of the room I can't find it. And then I will turn on the light, and then the light illuminates everything in the room, and what was a struggle to see before now becomes much easier for me to see this time. And so as we're struggling with the decision, we don't know really what to do, or how to approach the decision-making process. Just say it to yourself: let there be light, and then let the light illuminate for you what is the proper decision, and and it becomes much easier for you to make decisions once you've turned the light on the inside of you, and you begin to see things for much more clarity, and you're able to see things in specific terms and order, and now you're able to make better decisions. So when you get to a problem where you have a hard question and you're not really sure, if you can't remember the 4-point process we talked about a little bit ago, just say to yourself, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light. And you will begin to feel that illumination on the inside of you, and then it becomes much easier for you to make the decision based on what has been illuminated because now you understand your purpose. You understand who you are. You understand your purpose. You understand what you're supposed to do, and you understand how to get there. And so when you have that understanding of those things, the decision-making process becomes much easier, because now you're doing it based on a need that you have for where you want to go, and for things that are going to come into your space, or leave your space based on your decision. Retrain our conscious mind and redevelop our perception so that we can begin to see and say things differently. And it's so important that we understand this part, that seeing and saying. And actually, I should be saying and seeing, because the process, we use see and say, as if we're going to see it, and then we're going to say it. But the reality is, you get the word picture in your mind, and then you say it, and you will see it. And so when you're seeing it in your mind, in your mental first, and then you begin to speak what you see in your mental, and as you speak what you see in your mental, you begin to manifest what's in your mental into your physical. And this is how the process works. Retain a positive mindset and keep things in proper perspective. See the potential opportunity rather than the difficulty of every situation, and keeping a positive outlook. And so it's important for us to understand that no matter what is going on around you, what's going on around you is built. You are built for what's going on around you. You are built in order to be able to handle every situation, every problem. But you have to look at it not as a problem, but as an opportunity for growth, it's an opportunity for development, an opportunity for you to win. And it becomes difficult sometimes to see the positive side of things, but nevertheless, when you walk in that, when you begin to understand exactly what it is that you want to do, and you understand exactly who you are, each problem presents an opportunity for growth. And so you'll look at it a little bit differently as you begin to become more confident and more competent in who you are. And from that, it becomes much easier for you to make positive decisions and for you to have positive self-talk. Refrain from falling back into old mindsets and negative self-talk. No matter what the condition may seem to be externally, we have everything we need internally to excel, succeed, and ultimately win. Let me say it again so that you have a better understanding. Refrain from falling back into old mindsets and negative self-talk. It is important for you to understand that you already have everything you need internally for you to excel, succeed, and win externally. No condition, no environment, no situation is too much for you when you begin to understand exactly who you are. When you're walking from the metacognitive knowledge level, nothing is too big for you. Nothing is too big for you. And then you begin to move and flow in that, and have understanding in that, and that becomes much more of who you want to be, rather who you are meant to be, rather than who people think you are. And sometimes you have to determine within yourself, no matter what they think of me, I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I know where I'm going. I know what my goal is. I know what I'm supposed to be doing. And from that, from you walking in your knowing, you walking in your I am, it becomes much easier for you to win every situation, to excel and succeed. Ultimately, we're looking at success and winning. Everything we need to win, we already possess. Make the decision to win. And this is where we have to understand that as we're going through these processes, we begin to get to that place where we know exactly who we are. We know exactly where we want to go. We begin to go through the 4-point process or the 4-question process. Do I want to do, be, or have this? Is doing, being, or have this going to line me up with my goal? Is doing, being, or having this in harmony with God's law or the universal laws? Is doing, being, or having this going to violate somebody else's rights? When you begin to soak those questions, begin to soak in and saturate your mind and saturate your thought processing, it becomes much easier for you to walk in the understanding of which decisions and what decisions to make and how to make them, and not be afraid to make those decisions. And then this is the important part of us being who we are. So this is Coach Vic. This is Final Year 40. We have gone through the decision-making process. We are not going to be ambivalent. We're not going to go back and forth. A double-minded man is unstable in all of his ways. We will not be double-minded. We will be firm, we will be committed, and we will be decisive from this point forward. From this point forward. This is Coach Vic, Final Year 40. God bless you. Have a good day, and I'm out.